Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for this Wednesday, July 27th. Quite a bit going on here. Let's look at our impacts map, and in the red we have lightning concerns with the very dry fuels. Starting with today, up in Idaho, up here in the north, along the Montana border, and also going into parts of far eastern Idaho and into the Bridger-Teton area of Wyoming for today, Wednesday. And then our focus will be Thursday and Friday as monsoonal moisture, at least the leading edge of it, sweeps into southern Nevada Thursday and Friday, overspreads much of the rest of Nevada and into southern Idaho and into western Utah as we go into the weekend, and eventually sweeping back into parts of western Wyoming later on in the weekend as well. That lightning will turn wetter across southern Utah and far southern Nevada and the Arizona Strip eventually over the weekend. Precipitation the past 24 hours, this is just noise here, nothing really over Nevada. They've been dry. Most of it's been over Utah. Light amounts, basically given less than 1/4 of an inch, except where you see that dark blue. Lightning activity, two main areas of concern. Most of this in the south is over fairly wetter fuels, except in far southwest Utah. Also in the Uintas, quite a bit of lightning with low-end wetting rains. Similar story up here in central Idaho, quite a bit of lightning with those positive strikes you see there. Rainfall amounts up there, even though there was rain, were fairly light. So looking at our fire map with new fire starts, you can see the new fire starts in the red circles, existing fires in the yellow, and larger fires have the circled outline. Observed precipitation over the past 7 days been bone dry across Nevada, most of Idaho, and into the northwestern portion of Utah. Somewhat wetter amounts as you head further south. The green areas you see here are over a ½ inch of rain. So in some of these areas, their fuels are currently fairly moist, but most areas very dry. Over the past 30 days, much of Nevada dry, and this is our big concern for the upcoming lightning event. Their fuels are near record levels. Similar story across parts of northern Utah and to far southern Idaho as well. A lot of this rain that we see down here occurred about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Fuels down there are drying quite a bit. And looking at our current fuel conditions via ERC, near record levels, 97th percentile, where you see the purple, the dark red is between the 90th to 97th percentile, where they're approaching those levels. You can see where our driest fuels are all across the Sierra front and Nevada, into southern Idaho as well, and where we had the lightning yesterday as well. A lot of those fuels are near the 90th percentile, more moisture as you head further to the south. Looking at our visible satellite imagery, actually our water vapor imagery with upper level maps, and we're missing a few maps here, so excuse the dark image. We see high pressure now shifting over towards Nevada, and we're seeing moisture sweeping up from the south of it. What we're also seeing is some drier air being overspread into the region with these tannish colors, and that is going to provide some drier conditions and the possibility of some holdovers from yesterday's lightning. So as we look at our significant fire potential for today, we do indicate high risk. Again, there'll be some isolated lightning strikes up here across some of the mountains in our northern zones in central Idaho, and as well as moving into far western Wyoming. We think most of the thunderstorm activity won't be triggered too much here over Idaho, but we can't rule out a few strikes there as well. Looking at weather conditions for today, you'll see some isolated lightning depicted here in the green, along with showers across far northern areas. The area will be quite small, but lightning in those areas with those dry fuels will be a big concern. Winds fairly light overall. These purple shades indicate anywhere from 5 to 15 miles per hour. Now for tomorrow, Thursday, kind of under a broad high pressure area, no specific high pressure zone center set up yet, but you see this deeper monsoonal moisture in the green and this somewhat thinner but still moist air mass in the black starting to intrude into a good portion of Nevada, the Arizona Strip, and into far southern Utah. So we will see lightning breaking out through there. That is where we have indicated our high risk for Thursday. And weather conditions for Thursday. Here is the precipitation, very scattered, very little precipitation actually reaching the ground in a few spots. A lot of it could be higher based lightning. That's our bigger concern. Wind field overall fairly light. A little bit breezier up here towards the Uintas and into parts of western Wyoming. And then going into Friday, we see that most of the southern two-thirds of our area is in this black area, which is borderline moisture, just enough for some thunderstorms, nothing for really anything really super wet. You see the lightning still hugging that Nevada-Utah border, and also another flare-up possibly popping up in the lee of the Sierra front. This is where fuels are near record dry levels on those ERCs. I'll have to watch this very carefully. Weather conditions, you see those showers expanding in aerial coverage. Anywhere you see that green, you can see either showers and or some isolated lightning, maybe even some stuff sneaking into Idaho. We'll see on that. Wind field on the right-hand side, fairly light. Overall precipitation reaching the ground, not that much at all, just a few hundredths of an inch here or there. Otherwise, more of a classic dry lightning event for Nevada. And as we go into Saturday, you see the westerly component here on the left starting to push a lot of this moisture westwards into Utah, into Idaho. Our high risk expands. We see that lightning covering most of Nevada and then southern Idaho, pushing into western Utah. There'll be some lightning down south, but it should turn progressively wetter for those zones. That's why they are not in high risk. And the high risk goes all the way out to Wyoming. Then as we go into Sunday, that moisture starts to vacate. We see our high-risk areas shifting further to the east, into eastern areas, still affecting those regions as well. On Monday, still some lingering moisture. You see through here on the left-hand side, patches of green through here, so we could still see some lightning through here. We'll see tightening winds and drier air across Idaho. We'll have to watch that. We think that a lot of the lightning that'll be left over by then should be turning somewhat wetter in most areas. Similar story on Tuesday. Any lightning we see through here should minimize fire potential down here in the south, but Idaho stays critical. And total rainfall that reaches the ground through the whole 7-day period, we'll see some amounts near a half inch to 3/4 of an inch in southern Utah. Otherwise, most areas, again, very little in the way of precipitation reaching the ground. Our extended outlook on the left, a cooler than normal signal across Idaho. That could mean breezier conditions with low pressure in the vicinity, but nothing super hot or dry anymore. And actually, models indicate a return to some monsoonal moisture sweeping up from Arizona into a good portion of Utah. So we could see some diminishing fire concerns in our eastern areas. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.